How to build a base in Wasteland. So what is Wasteland? Wasteland is a community-made game mode for Arma 2, Arma 2 Operation Arrowhead, and even Arma 3. It was originally developed by a member of the Taw clan named Tonic. The guys over at 404 picked the game mode up, modified it a bit, and built on it tremendously. Currently, the game mode can be seen in nearly all maps for Arma 2 and Arma 2 Operation Arrowhead, as well as Arma 3. These maps are Chinaris, Uts, Takistan, and even Stratus. You simply connect to a server with Wasteland and you will be able to play it. There are many versions of it, but today I will be showing you how to build an effective base for squad play on the Jade version of Wasteland. Jade is a community-made map by Icebreaker, the same guy who did Lingor Island, and I myself have ported the 404 version of Wasteland to it. You can play it on my public servers. I will put a link in the description for that, but for now, let's look at the fundamentals of building an effective base in Wasteland. Location. The location of your base is obviously one of the most important aspects to base building. I prefer building high up on a hill to avoid giving the enemy an uphill advantage. Building a base that is in close relation to missions, towns, gun stores, and even general stores will prove extremely advantageous for both you and your squad. Building in valleys or below hillsides gives the enemy an extreme advantage, as they are able to freely move about their hill they are firing from, and they are looking down on you like a fishbowl. Don't do it. Function. Before you start your base, you must consider its function. The function of most bases is to provide a place to spawn after you buy some spawn beacons, keep a weapons cache, stockpile food, water, and even vehicles if necessary. If defense is what you're after, you can even use your base to challenge the server to assault it. Although this is not recommended, since a highly motivated sniper will simply take your squad out one by one. So before you start building your base, you must consider what you are planning on using it for. Anti-tank assaults, or a simple place to hide your stuff and respawn. Logistics. Objects can be found all over the map to use for your base. The most effective way to collect these objects is to use a Ural or MTVR, which has a maximum carrying capacity. You can tow them together to create a maximum carrying capacity of 55 spaces. To pick an object up, simply park next to it, mouse wheel load in, then select the vehicle. Mouse wheel load in this vehicle, and the object will be loaded in the vehicle's inventory. In my bases, I prefer using two high stacked walls that completely encompass the largest area possible. I also like creating a funnel runway for attacking enemies that does not allow for vehicle entrance. Creating choke points that force assaulting enemies of all different types is also highly recommended, so definitely get those two stack H barriers and those long concrete walls. Those are the most beneficial walls to use for your base. Aside from protecting you from sniper fire, it also protects against tank shells and RPGs. Creating bunkers on corners, the entrances, and perhaps the blind spots of your hill will provide excellent overwatch for your base. Adding machine gun nests to your long, narrow entrance will force enemies to gamble on you being inside of it. Most of the time, enemies will run the perimeter of your base and look for points to fire inward, gaps in your wall. The most important thing is that you do not have these gaps in the wall that allow for fire inward, since they will be easily used against you by your enemy. Pro tips! Pro tip number 1, make sure you lock a bridge to the entrance of your base horizontally. This is only passable by going completely prone. This puts the enemy in extreme disadvantage while trying to rush your base, since they're forced to go completely prone to crawl through to get inside. You can also put an exit that allows for you to run over the top of it so that you don't have to prone exiting. Pro tip number 2, make sure you use walls to cover exposed holes to your base so that you may freely move about to look out, but nobody can look in. Pro tip number 3, crates have a 20 spot carrying capacity, which can also be stored into a vehicle. Bring one with you for maximum carrying capacity. Pro tip number 4, curve your entrance to the right to people going into the base. Since Arma characters are all right-handed, they're at a disadvantage when leaning to the left, which exposes more of their body. Since the base is curved to the right, this is what they would have to do to peek fire. Pro tip number 5, make sure you lock your base down and test it for holes. Get on a sniper rifle and look for weaknesses in your base and patch it. If you like the video, like it. Dislike it if you are not aware. And as always, I love you all.
The streets of Salem were a terrifying sight. The witches dancing with the demons in the night. Their evil minions watch the town while it's in bed. Wish 'em dead, wish 'em dead, wish 'em dead.